On today's Join Us in France, a trip report with Jennifer Ditchburn on visiting the southwest of France with her children. This is Join Us in France, episode 114. Hello, I'm Annie, and Join Us in France is a show about all things French. I kind of like the term education about France. I love France. I was born and raised in France. I live here too, but I've also lived in the UK and the US for a couple of decades, so I have a unique perspective on my own country, and I want to help you understand France better, at least the way I see France. Today, I want to open the show by talking about the email mailing list that you can join if you go to joinusinfrance.com. Lots of people join the mailing list, and then a few of them have written to me saying, I must have done something wrong because I'm not getting emails. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm just not emailing that much, but I do intend to start sending some hopefully weekly updates. We'll see if I make it every week or at least with each episode. So do join the mailing list. Everybody who's written to me has been on the mailing list. It's just that I've been overwhelmed with other things to do and I haven't gotten to it, but I will. And welcome aboard to all the people who have joined recently. Jennifer Ditchburn visited the southwest of France with her husband and her two daughters in June 2016, and she invited me to go to talk about her visit because she was staying in Toulouse for a couple of days. It was lovely to meet her and her family, and I was really, really impressed with her French. She is a super smart lady. She is the editor-in-chief of a magazine called Policy Options in Canada. She speaks beautiful French. She has visited France on several occasions, but this was her first time with her daughters, and that changes a lot of things, as you know. She found some great things to do in the Southwest with her kids, some of which had been recommended on the show, and she talks about the highlights of their visit. Also, because we recorded this episode on the day the result of the Brexit were announced, and because Jennifer is a political junkie, we discussed this news event at the beginning of the show. Bonjour, Jennifer.
Bonjour, Annie.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's lovely to meet you. This is my first time actually meeting one of the listeners.
Really?
I do this. I mean, Elise has met a few people because she does tours, but I just stay home and do other things, and so I haven't ever met.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't know because when I listen to your podcast, it sounds like you're in the same room with the people. So you must have technologie.
Oh no, c'est très simple, c'est très simple. Anyway, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for telling me you wanted to come on the show.
Oh yeah, no, I figure I listen so much to it. I feel like I want to give back to your podcast.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, your visit to France, who you are, what you do, that sort of thing.
Okay, so I'm Canadian. I live in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, for people who don't know.
Lovely place, by the way. Lovely place.
Yeah, it's a very nice city to live in. I'm the editor-in-chief of a magazine called Policy Options, which is a public policy magazine.
It's huge.
But it's a recent change for me because for almost 20 years I was a political journalist, mostly in Ottawa. So now I'm on a trip with my family to France for France and Spain, but half in France for I guess we're in France for 10 days. Mm-hmm. And so my husband and my children, my two daughters who are 8 and 11.
Right, and you speak beautiful French.
Well, I think I speak pretty good French.
Beautiful.
And I grew up in Montreal.
Yeah.
But I grew up in an English-speaking family. So when I was 17, I went to Lyon, near Lyon, to a very small town. for a year, and I went to high school, and so that's where j'ai vraiment perfectionné le français.
Oui,
but now I think I have a Quebec accent rather than a French accent. But
wow.
I can sort of fake it sometimes. But
you know, the Quebec accent is so lovely.
Yeah,
now,
no, I love it.
When Québécois speak between themselves, and not for the benefit of French people, then they're hard to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But when they talk to me, I understand everything. It's wonderful. It's just so adorable. It's wonderful. I love that language. I love the way you speak French. It's lovely.
When they're singing, I realized coming back to France, I've been back many times since I was a teenager, but there are certain things you have to remember, like little differences. For example, in Quebec, we'd say "excusez-moi" if we want to get past someone.
Right.
So I keep saying that and realizing, no, here you say "pardon."
Pardon, yes, pardon.
And the other thing is...
I do that too, though. I do that too.
And the whole vous voyez, tutoyer, which is like, of course, and I have to keep reminding the kids, everyone is vous, because in Quebec, often, unless someone is a lot older or whatever, you just naturally say tu.
Right.
It's a little bit...
kind of not fair, because their children, most people are going to say tu to them,
yes.
Yet they are expected to say vous to everybody.
Right.
Nobody would take offense, though, if children made that mistake. Because I know my daughter, when we first moved to France, she was 7, and she spoke very little French. I was a bad American mother. I didn't really teach her French. And so when we arrived, she didn't know very much, and she would often make mistakes. And people thought it was adorable that this kid with a strong American accent at the time, she has none of it left, but just didn't know. She said to everybody, didn't matter.
But she must be fluently bilingual.
Oh yeah, she's completely bilingual.
That's great. Yeah. So I'm trying to force my kids on this trip. So if they have to go to the washroom, I say no, because they are in French immersion. They take French. So I said, you need to go to the washroom. You don't know where the bathroom is. You're going to go ask. Où est le WC? So anyway, I think it's good. It's been good for them. And we've done any tours we've done. I've booked them in French and just sort of, so they have to work their brain a little bit more.
You're really going all out with these things.
One day they'll thank me or not.
It's a studious vacation, that way. So anyway, so you are, seeing that you are a journalist, and today we just had this Brexit, the result of the Brexit vote. I have to ask, what do you think? I mean, what are the reactions? Do you wish you were back at the office covering this? Or?
Well, I'm supposed to be on vacation, but it's impossible not to be so curious about it. So I woke up this morning, and we were at a bed and breakfast, and one of the owners is from Scotland, the other's from England. There was another gentleman there from Britain. There had been a previous guest from Britain, and interestingly, all the guests that were there had said they voted to leave, which is I know it's not a poll or anything, but I found this very curious. Why why are two completely different professional people had said that they had voted to leave, and they explained why. And so, but when I woke up this morning, I couldn't believe that. Yeah. I just couldn't believe it, because usually, and we have this experience in Canada, we've been through many very emotional referendums, that it's very hard to reverse the status quo, right? It's very hard to convince people to make a huge change for which they don't know what the future holds.
Right.
And so I was shocked, and immediately we were driving into Toulouse and immediately put on the talk radio. And then someone wrote something for our magazine this morning, which was great, a Canadian living in London. And so our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, came out and said, don't worry, we'll be able to, Canada will be able to weather the economic shock from this. But I'm imagining, and I'm just imagining that there might be some analysis in my own country of, does this give Quebecers, another idea of why, that someone else has taken, it's not a separation like it would be for Quebec, but it's an idea of stepping into the unknown when everybody's telling you that the unknown is a disaster.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny because the French commentators mostly say stuff like, well, it was a bad marriage to begin with. They weren't all in to begin with, so it's not surprising. But at the same time, you have a lot of French politicians now, especially on the far right.
Right.
And also the
Marine Le Pen
right, who are saying, we need to have a referendum here too. And, well, I hope that doesn't happen, because that would just be too much drama. I mean, it's like, do we need this? For me, Europe doesn't work great, and I wish Europe would be more aspirational rather than, taking care of tiny little detail things. I think they've given Europe over to a lot of bureaucrats who just have, they have dominion over one thing, and they just grab on and they won't let go, despite what anybody else thinks. And also the other thing is, in France anyway, we keep sending far-right people to the European Parliament. Why? Because when we do the elections, the European elections are the least important. Well, maybe is élections cantonales are less important. But that's the vote that people feel like they can, it's a protest vote.
Right.
That's when they can vote for extreme right if they feel like it.
But that's so odd because the extreme right wants to get out of Europe.
Exactly. So
Okay.
we keep sending these people to the European Parliament who don't want to be there.
Who don't want it to work.
They don't want it to work, and they make sure it doesn't work. So I think it's really, and I think other European countries have the same problem, that a vote, like when we vote for president, we know that's really serious. But vote for European Parliament, very few people, it's like not very many people will vote, and the ones that do are mostly older, more conservative people who say, up yours, I'm going to vote for.
And when, okay, so you're going to teach me, but where, how does the European Parliament, how is it made accountable? So how do the people in each country demand accountability of their funds, or which seems to me, and obviously in North America we're dealing with this issue of a feeling of a great gulf between the people and the political class. And actually it's not even North America, Brazil, Guatemala, where my mother's from, where a lot of countries are just in this sort of feeling of rejection of politicians.
Yeah.
But and from an outsider's point of view, I have trouble understanding how people demand accountability from.
They can't. They feel like they cannot because the elections. Okay, so we vote. It's a direct vote for the parliament. But the parliament has very little power. I mean, they can implement a few things, but mostly the dues that each country pays to the EU go to support a very heavy bureaucracy.
Right.
Which does what bureaucracies do. They want regulations. They stick their fingers into things that really annoy specific countries. There are things that the European Parliament cannot do. Like, so I went through an inheritance process in Spain. Normally, for French citizens, it's European law, and Spain is also in Europe. It's European law that prevails. But it doesn't. The Spaniards said, no, you have to redo all the paperwork in Spain.
Uh-huh.
And I said, but I already did it in France. And they said, we don't care. And I said, but Europe. And they said, we don't care.
Uh-huh. So it doesn't even matter.
So it doesn't matter. So they sign agreements that take forever to get implemented on the things that matter. When it comes to marriages, divorces, inheritance, taxation, defense, they can't touch this stuff because there's too many national interests in those. So what do they end up doing is they put like regulations about cheese and about, ladders and
copyright,
some.
Environment, some. Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's why it's so irritating to a lot of countries, and especially in France, it's mostly the farmers. They're like, oh, we've had enough because they don't want us to do this process. They want us to sterilize stuff, and then the good bacteria will be dead, and blah blah blah.
But then there's the good side, which is the movement of smart workers and young people who can work anywhere in Europe, and
but
security. Well, I don't know. And the other thing is the security of the collective borders, which I guess it's a debate whether that's working.
Exactly.
Right.
Is that really working? And also the issue with people can move, but they don't.
You don't think they move around?
Much.
No, professional class.
Some. The okay. So it's the low
paid workers will go work wherever, and also the very high paid workers will go work wherever. But people in the middle, like me, don't really end up. The reality is, Germany, for instance, has been trying to attract engineers from all over Europe. Even in countries where, France produces a lot of engineers, but they don't want to go to Germany and speak German. They definitely don't want their kids to learn, to grow up speaking German. That's the issue.
Right.
It's the cultural thing. And so, for as European as I am, I love the fact. I lived in the U.S. for 18 years, so obviously I like the big, the big global thing. But I can see that it's not working super well, and I hope that they just, we have to have hopes. We have to have big ideas. We need a moon program or something that will inspire everybody, kids, everybody.
Well, at the very least, we should be doing something about climate change together. I mean,
True.
Hopefully that won't those collective aspirations won't collapse in Europe.
Most Europeans are good with taking care of climate change, I think. We'll see. Anyway, that was probably a long discussion about Brexit, but I'm sure there are people from the UK that listen to the show, and
well, now, I mean, I can't believe in Britain, the upheaval. Your prime minister's leaving. Who's coming next? Yeah, Ireland and Scotland and
right.
Separation rumors. And I mean, it's fascinating.
Tomorrow, my daughter is going to Scotland for college.
Wow.
And she's flying out there tomorrow. And if this really happens, that they separate, then... Well, I think for the first 2 years it doesn't make any difference. But after that, it's going to be completely different. I don't know what it's going to mean. Because right now, if you're a doctor in England, you can practice in France. Or if you're an engineer or veterinarian, whatever, you have a professional degree, there are agreements. This is all gone. They're going to have to renegotiate a lot of things. It seems like a waste to have to take it back. And I was listening to British people this morning on the radio, and they were saying, it's great because now we can do business with the world instead of just Europe. Well, I don't know. You could always do business with the world. I really don't get it. But I'm a city person, so probably that's what it is. I don't know.
Well, one thing I feel like I've learned in my work is that politics can always has that possibility of completely surprising you.
It sure did this time.
When people say, this is never going to happen, don't worry, it's never going to, so-and-so will never get elected, or, but you can always be surprised.
Donald Trump or Marine Le Pen or somebody like that.
Yeah, well, that would be
yeah. Anyway.
That's a topic for another show.
Yeah. But anyway, it's been interesting to see. And people didn't really believe the polls, I don't think. Because the polls have been... It was always teetering, the very last one was not. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I still like England. I lived there for a couple of years. I like the place. It's nice.
It's wonderful.
Like I said, my daughter's going to Scotland. So, and I love Glasgow. I think it's a lovely place. But I don't understand that. Let's talk about your trip to France.
Yes.
You have been... a few places. You've been mostly in the south this time?
Yes. So we started in Paris for 4 days.
Right.
And then we went to the Midi, we went to Montpellier, and then ended up in the Ariège.
Are you driving?
We drove from Montpellier through to Toulouse. Okay. We're ending up in Toulouse before going to Spain.
Okay.
So my husband and I have been to Paris before. The girls had never been to Europe, so this is the first for them. I had been as a teenager to Montpellier, but I'd never been in this area, the Ariège and Toulouse, so that was a really wonderful discovery. Yeah. And I have to thank your podcast because it really helped just make a decision as to exactly where to go, because it's hard to know. Oh, yeah. It's hard, and especially, you have Google Earth and all these things where you try to look at what your apartment's going to look like and so on. It doesn't really it really doesn't tell you what a place is like. So you just have to, sort of take a shot in the dark. And
you can have all sorts of data about a place and still not know very much. I mean, what is it going to feel like? Is it going to be welcoming? Is it going to be interesting? Is it going to interest your kids? Is it going to be comfortable? I don't know. All these questions.
Capturing your imagination and the feeling, and then, even having been to certain places in the past and you go back, it doesn't feel like anything like I went to Montpellier when I guess I was 17, and I had no recollection. Maybe it's my bad memory, but I just had zero recollection.
You're not that old, but it has changed a lot in the last 15 years. A lot of new buildings. Well, how did you like Montpellier? What did you think?
We really liked it. I mean, the weather. We had been in Paris, and the weather was, as the British say, rubbish. It was okay. But in Paris, I kind of feel zen about it, because if it's raining, so what? You go into the Louvre and you're okay. Yeah. But the weather in the south has been beautiful and hot, and Montpellier has sort of that beach feeling to it. You know what I mean? Like it's all white, and there's this sort of like a breeze that blows in that feels like it's from the beach, and the beach is only 20 minutes away.
Right. Did you go to the beach?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And something about Montpellier reminds me of Barcelona. Does it?
Yes, I can see that, because it's like more. It's a more structured city.
I should say the old part. So the old sort of carriage roads. With like tall white buildings and sort of like mysterious alleyways and so on.
Montpellier is very white because they have all the Haussmannian type white stone buildings that Paris also has, and Bordeaux and a lot of other places. So it's got this feel.
I think what I mean is it's just this. It was just that small old quartier like in the middle of. But the rest of it is very different, obviously.
Yeah.
But so then we went to, we asked our bed and breakfast owner, where's the best beach, because there's a lot of them that you can go to, as you know. So he said, to go the one that's sort of nearest to Montpellier. So we ended up at Plage L'Espinguette, I think that's called.
Plage L'Espinguette, I don't know about it.
And it's near Aigues Mortes.
Aigues Mortes, oh yes.
So we went. So then, when you go to that area of the beach, you pass through La Camargue. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, La Camargue, yes.
Which is sort of a marshland, very interesting. And I think they're wild horses.
Yes.
And which we did see a few of them. But what we saw a lot of was flamingos, which is fantastic. And
beautiful birds.
Yeah, and there's salt. I guess there's some salt.
They're kind of salty kind of marsh. Not full on salt, but.
Brackish water.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
So we went to the beach, and there's almost no one there. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you kind of go over some dunes, and at this particular beach, there is a beach bar, which has a shuttle, which will take you for free. Even if you buy nothing at the beach bar, it'll still take you from where you park your car. And there was plenty of free parking. So bonus. And then we went to the beach, and it was just this big, long, white, beautiful beach. Hardly anyone on it.
Wow.
It wasn't a nudist beach, because
that's good too.
There's a lot of nudist beaches in this part of around Montpellier.
Less and less, though.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing in the 70s and 80s.
But isn't Agde like the biggest nudist beach? And not that I care. I don't really care.
I don't know. It could be. It could be. I haven't been to that beach.
Well, anyway, we had a nice day on the beach. The water's cold. I mean, it's June.
Yeah.
But
it's cold all the time.
It's I have to say, traveling in June, I would do it again in an instant, because the kids in France are still in school.
Right.
But
everything is open.
Yeah, everything's open.
It's not like when you come in February and there's this nice attraction, but it's closed.
Exactly. And most of the North Americans haven't arrived yet. Mm-hmm. So everything was quiet. So anyway, after the beach, we spent 3 hours on the beach and so on. Then we went to Aigues Mortes, which is a really beautiful town.
It's really nice.
Really nice. It's a old walled city.
Yeah.
And
did you stay within the walls?
Yeah, we went into the walls, and there's a town square.
Yeah.
It has an old convent that's used for art exhibitions or something. But in the town square, there's lovely restaurants, and it's really small, but you have like this really sort of charming village, shops. And one of my kids loves souvenir shops, so. So we sat and drank our rosé, and she went off to look in the souvenir shops, and then we drove back to Montpellier. It's a perfect day trip. I mean, really, you can go to the beach, and so the next day we went to Sète, which you've talked about on your show.
Yes.
And
what did you think?
So we went to the beach there, because it's called La Corniche.
La Corniche, yeah.
It's more, it's a city beach.
Yeah.
Also nobody there except a class of kids that were at the beach for the day. The water seems to be very clean, which is unusual, like very crystal clear, and lots of fish in it, which is sort of cool.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
And then we went into Sète to have lunch, and it's a beautiful place. It's busy though. It's I think busier than I thought. Like it's built up, right? It's But you have.
I haven't been for a long time, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but
Elise has been there recently.
Yeah, I remember hearing her talk about it. But you sit along the port, and there, the sun was shining, and everywhere sells fish and all kinds of different seafood and so on.
Did you try the
tielle?
Tielle, yes.
No, I tried what's it called? Siège. The siège.
Sèche.
Sèche.
Sèche. So that's like a fish. It's like
rouille de sèche.
Rouille de sèche.
I think so. They said it was some sort of specialty. So it's
fish soup.
It's cuttlefish.
Yeah.
With a kind of like a red sauce that I want to say maybe they have paprika in it. I wasn't like that thrilled with it.
Okay, right.
But I eat everything. So and we had like a lovely lunch by the port. It was wonderful.
Nice.
So I would say it's a good place to stop and walk around, and there's it's old city, but where we really fell in love with was the Ariège.
See, that's crazy. I would have never thought that, but that's wonderful. Thank you for
oh my God. I already said to my husband, do you think we could come back? But maybe it's the weather always plays it influences how you see things. So we drove from Sète to where we were staying in Foix. And on the way we passed by Carcassonne.
Right.
But this is going to sound terrible, but basically this is I love to travel. It's my passion, but I don't feel guilty ever. Like if I go to some place and I don't go to the museum, I don't care.
That's right. That's right. You chose not to.
I just chose not to. Yeah. So anyway, so we're driving, and I said to my husband, "Should we go and see Carcassonne?" So we drove into Carcassonne. It was like 35 degrees at like 3 in the afternoon. So we got out of the car, we parked the car. By the way, the most beautiful parking lot I've ever been into, free. Anyway, we
really? I always pay when I go to Carcassonne.
Well, maybe it was because we weren't there long enough, but it was in the part that's like in La Cité part. That's not in the walls, but outside. Just
outside, but barely outside?
No, kind of like where the fountain is in the carousel, the town square, like more into the.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a hike. Okay. So anyway, we got out.
That's why.
Yeah, we got out of the parking lot. We walked to a bridge where you could get a perfect view of the city.
Yes.
We took a picture and we said, "Do you want to just go?" We didn't go into the city, but you know why? Because we said, we went to Aigues-Mortes, yesterday, which was
about the same.
A walled city, and I know someone's going to be saying listening to this, what? Carcassonne.
I think the walled city of Carcassonne has more charm than Aigues-Mortes, but honestly, if it was so hot.
Oh yeah, we would have died. I like the heat, but I don't think I just had that feeling that we were not going to enjoy it. It was going to be like a chore, like pulling ourselves into this.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got back in the car and we drove to Foix, which is in the Ariège region in the Pyrenees, like starting into the French Pyrenees.
Yeah.
But the drive is so nice.
It is nice.
You drive through all these rolling hills. And
you didn't take the freeway.
No, at that point we ended up going through like Mirepoix way and through there.
Yeah, Mirepoix is also nice.
We did go there. We went another day. Yeah. But so we stayed in Foix in this wonderful bed and breakfast, which I'll plug, called Surya Pyrenees, which is run by a really nice couple from, I guess, Scotland and England. They've lived there for a long time.
How do you spell it?
Surya, Pyrénées.
Okay.
And they had a pool, and they had a trampoline, and but we sort of rolled up on the bed and breakfast, and there's just this breathtaking view. You could see the beautiful hills, over the sort of the terrace of the bed and breakfast, and sort of the mountains in the background, and it's just stunning. It's stunning.
To me, Ariège is a place where it often rains.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it was just deadly hot when we were there.
And see, that's great. If you see it on a beautiful day, it is so green and so beautiful. The hill, the mountains are beautiful. You have a lot to see there.
Well, that was the thing. So we had 3 nights, and at the end, we were all sad, really sad to leave. We were like, I wish we could stay longer because everything was so nice. But there's so much to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And the kids were really happy.
Yeah. So what did you do?
Well, we went to the Grotte de Nio.
La Grotte de Nio. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know you've talked about it on the show, but so you have to, it's a cave, and you go to see prehistoric cave drawings, which I think they date from about 14,000 to 18,000 years ago.
Right.
And so you hike in a kilometer into the caves. Well, and the other thing is with a lantern, so I mean the kids were they loved it because it's really the sort of this whole discovery thing.
It's an adventure.
It's a real adventure.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
And then when you just driving to the caves, you're going right up into the mountains, and you have they have this beautiful architecture built outside of the cave where you have a lookout where you can take photographs of the Pyrenees. So going into the caves, it's quite magical, and you go in a kilometer. The whole tour takes an hour and a half, which surprised me. I thought it was going to be short.
No, it takes a while because you have to walk in. Because of the cave paintings, they never drew much or anything probably near the entrance of the cave. It was always deep in.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to hike. Well, hike in. It's not really a hike. It's like almost flat.
Yes.
It's not hard to do. I mean, we had a friend who visited who has multiple sclerosis, and so she has really bad balance, and so she couldn't have done it.
No way, no.
But somebody who's not in super good shape, I'm not in super good shape, but I can do it. Really not that hard. It's fun.
It was fantastic. The guides are really knowledgeable.
And you did that in French?
We did it in French.
Yeah.
And they only allowed 20 people at once. Right. You have to book in advance, unless you're really lucky and you show up and they have a spot.
Right.
But they have a whole explanation about the air inside and not having too many people. And then when you get to the actual room where the cave drawings are, they turn off all the lights. So of course it's absolutely black. And then she turns on different lanterns to show you the cave drawings, and they're unbelievable. I mean, there's somebody with amazing artistic talent was able to draw these bison and goats.
At Nio, they're very careful about trying to not give too many explanations of why. But there's a nearby cave. What is it called? La Vache? That's what I want to say.
Yeah, there's La Vache, the Lombrive. That must be La Vache.
Yeah, it's La Vache, I think. And La Vache, the woman who does the tours, very few people go to that one because they're only in French too. Whereas in Nio, you could book an English tour if you want. That woman will just talk and talk and talk and talk and give you explanations for all sorts of things. And at the end, I'm not really sure if that's why, but I think that's why.
Oh, wow.
And since she doesn't have a PhD in archaeology or anything related, she's just a guide. She's like, I can say whatever I want. I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So she's very fun to listen to.
That would bother me. I didn't start picking that apart.
I thought it was a hoot because she doesn't know. She's just making stuff up that sounds good,
That's hilarious.
but it's not one that I would recommend as much as
Nio.
Nio. Yeah, you have to go to Nio. La Vache, but if you have the time, go.
Oh no, I mean, I'm so happy we went, and the kids loved it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely an adventure.
Oh no, it was so good. And so then the fellow at the B&B had told us about, and this is the thing about the Ariège, is that there's so many things to do that aren't in any kind of English guidebook, right? There's so many things in that region, and there's a lot of cyclists. So if you like cycling, this is the place. You know, Tour de France comes through. Yeah. But the person at our B&B told us to go to a particular waterfall, which was near L'Artigue. And it's such a small place that you need a map of that village. I mean, basically, we had the map out, and we were driving through this, incredible area, and we sort of got flustered. And where are we going? And we were feeling like we were getting lost. And there's no civilization. Yeah. There's civilization, but there's not like there's a gas station or corner stores or anything. So anyway, so we decided instead to go in a different direction. And we happily ended up, I've just thought it was breathtaking, at this place called Port de l'Ers, which is right in the Pyrenees. I guess it's near Col Agnès, so one of the mountain passes.
Col Agnès et Port de l'Ers.
Port de l'Ers, or Étang de l'Ers, which is a mountain lake.
Is it H-E-R-S?
L-E-R-S. L'Ers.
Oh, yes, okay. All right.
So it was sort of by accident that we ended up. It's near Aix-les-Thermes, which is like a hot spring place.
Yes.
So on the way, going in that direction, so we were kind of just by accident driving through the Pyrenees, and we ended up in the, I mean, it's take your breath away. You see the snow caps. And then the mountains are covered in yellow flowers, and there's all of a sudden there'll be a waterfall next to the highway.
Oh wow! I gotta check that out.
Cows, and so we got out of the car a few times and just
looked around,
and you just hear like this tinkling of cowbells. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you hear, and the cows will come on across the highway every once in a while.
Sure.
So the one thing that we realized about this trip was how we're such utter amateurs at planning for food. I mean, oh my God. The thing I think about that we would do differently is to always plan the grocery run. So before you arrive at some place, like go to the grocery store, get all your stuff, because these places are meant for picnics, and French people are picnicking. As soon as we got out of the Grotte de Millau, as soon as we got out of the cave, most of the French tourists that were there were sitting in their cars eating their sandwiches.
Exactly.
Whereas we were starving. Yeah. we had some cookies in the car, and we were like, why did we do this?
So I could have told you where to go. There's a grocery store, but I think it closes at lunch.
Maybe.
I think we ran into that problem. So if you go back to that big, gigantic roundabout.
Yeah. You mean like
right past...
near like Tarascon?
Yes, in Tarascon. At the entrance of Tarascon, you have this grocery store, but I think they close it between like lunch.
Well, we should have gone before we even left Foix. We should have, should have. And our bed and breakfast had
a great breakfast, probably.
Well, it was how do you say it? Efficiency. So you had a fridge and a stove and everything to make your own stuff. So we should have had this all organized. But once again we didn't. So we were, by 3 p.m, we're starving. Starving. But
you can't find a restaurant.
Oh my God,
not in Ariège.
Well, it's really hard in those mountain passes. But at L'Étang de l'Ers, by some miracle, there is this little, restaurant bar in the middle of nowhere in this mountain pass.
Oh, nice.
And so we, got some food to eat, and then, we weren't too hangry, as they say. Anyway, that was one of the highlights. It was such a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
And then on subsequent days, we went to see the Château de Foix, which is you must go see. It's a beautiful medieval castle.
Were you surprised how little there is inside?
No, not really. No, and it's just fun, for the kids to run around because you can go up the turret and look around.
But there's not furniture. There's a few things, but it's not very many.
Right
up there in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's pretty spare. Yeah. And the town of Foix I think it's a beautiful base because it's just got that right for me anyway. I'm always looking for the right combination of not too sleepy. There's enough restaurants. There's a grocery store. There's a beautiful town kind of square with lots of restaurants. We arrived on the day of the Fête de la Musique, which is June 21st. Is it every year?
Yeah, every year.
All across France, there's music.
Europe too.
Oh, in Europe.
The rest of Europe has adopted this.
Fête de la Musique.
Yeah,
okay.
it got started in 1983, 1984.
Oh, okay.
More or less in France, and then slowly other European countries adopted it.
Wow. Well, anyway, so that was happening on the day that we arrived. So we saw the Château de Foix, and the girls really liked that. And then we went to see the Château de Roquefixade. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So in the Ariège, you have all these old Cathar castles, right?
Yes,
with Foix is one. So there's the Montségur. So Montségur and Roquefixade are more or less in the same area in the Pyrenees.
Okay.
But Roquefixade,
I've been to Montségur a few times.
yeah. So we were debating about the two, but Roquefixade is a ruined castle, and Montségur is one where you have to pay to get in and so on, right?
It's also a ruined castle.
Yeah, is
they
it?
lost. Yeah, there's a few walls, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so we were advised, go to Roquefixade. It's cool. It's sort of falling apart on the top of a mountain, and you don't have to pay. You just go.
Yeah.
So anyway, we had a sort of interesting day there. So first of all, it's like in the middle. It's the middle of nowhere. There's a tiny, tiny little town with like maybe, I don't know, 50 people who live there.
Same in Montségur. Yeah.
And it's beautiful in the mountains. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, how do you get to this thing? So we take the car and we go through the town center, and there's a sign that says Château de Roquefixade, and it says attention, voie vertigineuse, which I think means like
that it will probably give you vertigineux means that it's
steep,
and also that you might have, if you're afraid of heights,
right?
It might,
right. So we're in a car, and I'm thinking, like, is this the way? You know, where's the park? You know, is there somewhere to leave the car? So we start on this road, which is like just rock, like it's not paved, right?
Yeah.
And on like a cliffside, basically. And so about, like, I would say about 4 minutes into this ride, we decide this is a mistake. Like, we should not be on this road. So
were you the only ones?
Oh yeah, there was no one else.
No one else.
But
bikers?
No.
Or, okay.
No. So at this, and it's really rocky. Like, I mean, big rocks like going over. So we see a hiker. So I got out of the car, run up to the hiker. I said, does this road lead anywhere? And he says, no, this is about as far as you can come with a car, and I wouldn't suggest it. So then at this time, my anxiety level is super high because the drop next to the road is like basically you'd be finished, right?
Yeah.
So we find
indeed.
Oh yeah. So we found a place to turn the car around. It was by miracle. There was like a little place.
I'm gonna close this door. I don't know if you can hear. I don't have headphones in, so I can't. I don't know if you can hear.
Yeah, there's
music, but there's like a music festival.
Yeah, there's some electronic. It sounds like trance music or something outside. But anyway, so we managed to get off out of this sort of stupid situation and parked the car, and then we walked. And so I would say it's about a 25-minute hike up the side of a steep mountain mountain pass.
Steep.
It's pretty steep.
Montségur is also quite steep, but it's probably a half-hour hike as well, and it's steep.
And it's like one of these things where it's like a kind of a peak that sticks up, like an outcropping.
Yeah.
And so the castle sits on top of this kind of narrow peak. So I mean, it's not. You can do it. I did it with children.
Yeah.
But you really have to pay attention, and you have to make sure you're not like wandering over, to the side. You're on the path, and you're not going to look over the side.
Yeah.
So we got to the top, and the chateau is closed because of they're looking at structural. But you know what? It didn't matter because the view from the top
was beautiful.
And then you see this, like the old walls of the chateau. There's absolutely nobody there. Mm-hmm. So that day we did bring a picnic, and we sat in the long grass. And
nice.
Oh my, it's so beautiful.
So this is something that happens to a lot of Cathar castles. Is the Cathars liked to put their castles on top of a steep hill that was hard to get.
And how did they do it?
I don't know how they did it. I don't, but this was the thing that people did. But the problem is they lost the war, and nobody has taken care of these old castles. There's no roofs left on them or anything, so the walls are crumbling, and they have to close them because too many people hike to them, and it's dangerous. And so they just put like a big old fence, and you can't get to it. You can see it, but you can't get to it.
This one we could have gone in. We could have. All that was there was a chain that said.
Okay. Yeah.
That said that they were testing it, but I mean, I'm not going to take my kids into that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So then we went down.
But you can bet most French people just go.
Yeah, I would assume. But anyway, and so then we went back down, and so you can see, Annie, what happened to me on the way down.
Earlier, I was like, what happened there?
So me in my city sneakers going down the rocky pass, I wipe out and scrape my whole leg.
She has a very scraped leg there. Well, not the whole leg, but your...
Yeah, it's pretty scraped. My shins are scraped. Shins, so that was my drama for the day at Roquefixade.
Did you have
I had a basic
first aid?
No. See, so one day we had no picnic, and the next day no. So anyway, I stopped at the pharmacy, but and so then.
Were they nice to you?
Oh yeah, yeah. They had everything I needed. So, and then we sort of finished off that day in Mirepoix.
Mm-hmm. What did you think?
Oh, it's incredible.
That little downtown is so cute.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and everybody was super friendly. Mm-hmm. Les Mirapiciennes, is that what they call them?
Ah, je sais pas.
I think so.
Yeah. That's funny.
And they have the real accent de midi. People from this area have a particular accent. Yeah.
I can put it on too, but I don't usually. Unless I'm talking to my sister, and then all bets are off.
Oh, yeah. I love it. It's nice. But it's a beautiful medieval town, and
we also did an episode on Mirepoix with
Yes, Elise. I remember.
I can't remember which one it was, but
no, it was great.
Yeah.
And so and now here we are in Toulouse, which is beautiful. And I know you guys had your debate about Montpellier and Toulouse, or you're talking about comparing the two.
One?
But we really like Toulouse. I mean, I hate to say one over the other, but my husband and I were chatting. We said, if you really just wanted to come and shop, like if you really, your thing was, I want to come to France and do my shopping, clothes shopping or whatever.
Yeah.
Why not just come to Toulouse?
Yeah.
It's great shopping. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge pedestrian walkways.
Yeah. And especially right now, it's the Solde. Did they start yesterday or was it today?
Oh my God, remember. It's mobbed.
It's mobbed. Yeah, there's people everywhere.
I was going to take a picture in the Zara because there was like 1,000 women in the Zara. Because everything said 50% off. I think the French sales are twice a year, right?
That's right. The legal sales. We have like this law that you can call it solde twice a year.
Okay.
It's early July. Well, late June this year. Usually it's early July. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they don't want people to go away on vacation, because what ends up happening is French people start leaving on vacation early July, and then the solde don't work so much. Maybe they change the date a little bit.
Okay.
And then January, right after New Year's, there's another couple of weeks of solde as well.
Okay, yeah. Well, hey, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And there's there's beautiful squares to sit in and nice restaurants. We went to we had a great lunch at Café Chouchou. Does that say?
Don't know that one.
No, we had a beautiful.
But it's good.
Yeah, it was very good in Toulouse. And we just enjoyed walking around. It's a nice, beautiful city.
Yeah. And you're staying at a Novotel near Compostelle Stafarelli, which is, it's a nice park. Did you see the Japanese gardens?
Yeah, we went through the Japanese gardens, and my kids played in the park.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the thing, with traveling with two kids, they like to do activities, right?
Right.
So, after a while, churches and charming towns, that's
enough, yeah.
It doesn't, really impress them that much, but hiking, going into a cave or playing in a really cool park, those are good things.
And also Toulouse, we have this music festival, but there's also, I don't know if you've been down the water?
Not yet.
Okay. You have to go along the Garonne. Have you seen like Saint-Cernin?
We went to the church. Yeah, that was very.
I love that church.
That's and the frescoes on the wall. That was. Oh.
So what else are you going to do in Toulouse?
Well, this is it, because we're going to sort of go out, after in the evening. But tomorrow we're heading into Spain. But it's been a great trip. And
are you driving to Spain?
No, we're taking the train and then we're picking up a car. But we did drive. We drove, from Montpellier and all around the Ariège. Mm-hmm. And so that's really, I think, the only way that you can see all these small things.
Yeah. So other things you could have seen in Ariège with kids is, Nyon is actually the best thing, mm-hmm. I think. And the Château de Foix is also lovely. But I would have, maybe there's this Parc de la Préhistoire.
I heard about that.
Which is pretty good, for kids. It's good.
I don't know, something about it seemed cheesy to me, but I don't know.
It's a little bit cheesy, yes. It's a little bit cheesy. It's not as authentic as Grotte de Nyon. Grotte de Nyon is, you can't beat that. They give you a flashlight and say, go.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a guide, but it's not, they don't even have a cemented path into the cave. It's like up and down and rocks and little, so.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that we sort of left on the table, as it were, that we would do. I would have liked to do some more hikes in the mountains, and come prepared for Stade, picnic. No, but it was good. And I know you had some really good shows about Paris, so with the two.
So you went to Paris a little bit.
Yeah, and I won't go into all those details, but thanks to also your podcast, we went to the Musée des Arts Forains, which was fun. We went to
so that's not just open.
It's you have to reserve. It's it's private. That's the sort of old Carnival Museum. And that was a lot of fun. We went to Les Jardins de Luxembourg, which is also fun for kids because there's a great park there. Yeah. We did the Eiffel Tower, and we went to. Now this is the other thing. We stayed. I think. Some people could debate me, but we stayed in the Hautes Marais, so near La Rue Bretagne.
Okay.
And it's the second time I've stayed there. So I went once with my sister a couple of years ago, and then this time we stayed. But we really, I think this is the best place in Paris to stay.
Is
honestly.
That right?
We rented an apartment. And we really are partial to renting apartments, but because I just think it's the way to go. You have you have your space, you have your kitchen, you have your coffee maker, and this area of the Marais has right outside your door you have the Nicolas wine store, you have the boulanger, you have the bakery, you have the butcher, you have the 2 or 3 grocery stores, and life seems a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's a big tourist trap.
That's good. So it's regular French life.
Regular French life, and from there, it's I guess about 13-minute walk to the Place Pompidou or Notre Dame, and then you have the other way, 15 minutes to Canal Saint-Martin, which we did one day.
Is that overhyped or was that nice? I've never been, so I'm going to go this summer. But
well, no, it's fun because that's where young people go and they take their beer and their picnic dinner and they sit on the side of this kind of disgusting canal. But
the canal's
it's gross. But if you in Paris, it didn't get dark until 10:30 at night.
Right.
So, we were there like 8:30, 9 o'clock, sitting by the canal and, having a drink and, a little snack. And
that's good.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. That's good. So that was good. But I really like this part of Paris. I think, there's nice little restaurants, there's parks. Mm-hmm. And there's things, things that I started to get to know a little bit better. Like for instance, you should do a whole thing about how to order coffee.
It's so simple.
Okay. So
what's your experience ordering coffee?
Well, it took me a while to figure out if you want milk in your coffee, not to order like café au lait. Forget it. They're going to charge you like €3 more for a café au lait.
Well, yeah.
Which is like coffee with like a bunch of milk in it.
In Paris, they will. Not in Toulouse. A café au lait here is $2.50 or something.
But so finally, I clued into a noisette.
Noisette, yes.
Which is
a tiny bit of milk.
A tiny dollop of milk.
That's what my husband always.
Which I don't think they charge you any extra for, or maybe they charge you like 10 centimes.
No, noisette et café, c'est pareil.
Okay, so you have a café, which is just really strong, beautiful black coffee, a noisette that has a dollop of cream. What's a café crème then?
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same as a
So
noisette.
hang on. I asked this recently. I forgot. Oh, my husband could tell me. What's the difference between noisette and café crème? I think it's the same thing, but I think maybe one is they frost the milk and the other they don't,
Okay.
or something like that. It's
But see, they charge you all different prices for this. That's why I texted my friend. I said, noisette, ask for noisette, because otherwise, back home I think we're used to asking for like cafe latte, or because we have such huge,
but
massive
café latte is
coffees.
going to be like a
Huge thing.
gallon.
But then they charge you, where most people will go and pay like €1, $1.20 or something for a coffee.
Yeah,
or-
a coffee in Toulouse is $1.20, $1.30 maybe.
Yeah,
So-
for really good coffee.
Now, if you ride downtown Place du Capitole, it's probably going to be $2.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And the other thing, I think it's good to know is that you can always get a really good sandwich in a bakery, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't have to spend a lot of money.
Most bakeries, even if they don't have a sandwich out, they will make you a sandwich.
Yeah, and they have good things like tomatoes and fresh mozzarella or.
And I know Elise is not a big fan, but Paul always has. It's a bakery chain. It's a chain, so they're all the same all over the country. But they're good.
Yeah. Oh, and you can always in the baguette. I mean, there's a few things that are cheaper here than home. Bread. I mean, a baguette's like 80 cents.
Yeah.
Or less than €1. Wine is super cheap. Cheese is super cheap. So I mean, you have all the makings of a decent lunch.
Even fruit. Last time I was in the U.S., I was like, fruit is expensive in the U.S. I forgot.
Yeah.
But here it's cheap. Like a kilo of nectarines is going to be $3.50. So that's 2 pounds. It's you know.
Yeah.
In America, you might pay $5.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Something, it's more money, I think. So
yeah. No, and the grocery stores have like really nice things in them. Yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of things.
So, those are the things that are good to, save a little money.
When you come, you should bring a bottle opener.
A bottle opener, and one other thing I wish we had to end up buying one, but a shopping bag. You should bring a shopping bag.
Yeah.
Because they don't give you bags at the store, or you have to pay extra for them. And a shopping bag is just good to have. Even like an insulated one is a good idea to pack it away.
That's true.
But we came on with carry-on, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was hard to.
Yeah, but insulated bag, and some stores will sell ice this time of year. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you don't keep it too long, and if it's cold to begin with, you're probably okay.
Yeah. And I've never seen bigger yogurt selections in my life.
Oh, yeah, yogurt is fantastic.
Two whole aisles of yogurt. Yeah. The kids like it.
Yeah, the yogurt is fabulous.
Yeah.
It's out of this world. And we started to get a little bit of frozen yogurt, but it's such good yogurt. We don't need it frozen. It's fabulous.
Yeah, the kids have had a lot of gelato because that's their thing.
What's a favorite dish of yours?
From in France?
Yeah.
Oh, I like tartare, steak tartare.
Oh, see, that one surprises me.
Yeah.
There was another guest on recently that said that. That's surprising.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe that's just because I had it at lunch, but
Yeah.
But
in Toulouse, you have to try l'entrecôte.
Which is a steak?
It's a steak and fries thing, and they don't serve you anything else.
Okay.
So you go in and they ask you, how do you want your meat, and do you want red or white or rosé wine,
and that's it.
And that's it. And they bring you fries, and it's all you can eat fries. They're really good fries. The steak is like this entrecôte, but it's thin sliced, and it has this sauce with it that's really, really good. And you have to dip your fries into the sauce.
Oh, that sounds really good.
And then they have a dessert selection. And it comes with a salad, a side salad, and you can't decide on anything else. They're going to bring you a side salad and bread and your steak and your fries and your wine if you ordered wine, and then your dessert if you want some. My kids are being so good.
My kids are.
No, they're being so good. They're quiet. They're lovely. We're gonna be done soon.
The other thing I didn't have on this trip, but I love, is bouillabaisse, which is a big fish stew.
Toulouse is really not the place. Sète could have had. Probably
I just didn't. You know what? When it's like 30 degrees, you don't feel like hot fish stew.
You don't. You don't.
There's a couple other things that I was thinking about. That I marked on. One is with the kids. I had to tell them about store etiquette. You know, right? So when you go into the store, you always have to say bonjour. You know, you have to say hello. You know, it's like a politeness thing. But but sans faute, like you have to look the person in the eyes and say bonjour. And when you leave, you have to say merci, au revoir.
Yeah.
You know, and also they don't have a high tolerance for, you know, mucking around in the store with you know, like what I remember on the first day we went into a toy store and they bounced a ball, and the guy in the toy store came and said, no, you know, don't bounce the ball.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, just people are a little bit more particular about, you know, because and this is the thing, like kids in North America I think are a little bit more rowdy than kids in maybe it's a generalization, but
French kids are kind of raised to, it's still this, they have to behave, and they know how to sit through a long lunch,
right,
or a long dinner, and just entertain themselves. It's a little bit different. American kids, I don't know about Canadian kids, but American kids tend to be more mouthy, and they they
loud.
which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you'd think that as toy store owner would have some tolerance for kids bouncing a ball, like, hello.
Well, I immediately said, let's go, because, you know, if you can't bounce a ball in a toy store,
no, not my kind of place either.
And the other thing that, you know, I've been to Paris a bunch of times, but I hadn't been outside Paris for a long time. And you know, the difference between, like, you know, people in Paris, and, I mean, it's obviously it's a big, stressful city and so on, but, and also, the way people dress is so different, right? And I, you know, for better or for worse, I always worry about, okay, what do you pack? And I think this is like no guidebook ever tells you, like, I think there's no blog that tells you, okay, how do I dress when I'm in Paris? But I think there's like a uniform. It's a uniform.
I don't follow the uniform, but yes, I know what you mean.
So we got there in mid-June, and people were still wearing black type. I thought this is hilarious because in Canada, as soon as it gets a little hot, everyone's wearing shorts and bare legs. But I mean, I think you can't go wrong with the simplest of clothes, right? Black flat shoes, or everyone wears the same kind of sneakers, like the kind of Converse type Keds sneakers that, you know, with jeans and a black T-shirt, or and women don't wear a lot of makeup. They, you know, have, you know, very simple look. With a scarf, you can't go wrong.
That's right, not a scarf.
Like, not a lot of prints, or nothing with, like, you know, no shirts with details on it, or not a lot of
shirts,
not a lot of floral things. Like, it's actually, you know, very, very, you know, it's classic wearing.
Very plain, very.
And so I was shocked when I was there, because I couldn't, like, no one in the entire that we could see was wearing a single pair of sandals, and it's middle of June, right? And this is getting like really into real specifics, but then you get down here, and, you know, everyone's got shorts and tank tops and sandals.
Paris is much more like dress for success, business type things. Yeah, they do that, and they're still going to work, so that's why they have to dress that way.
Yeah,
you know.
But even the casual dress is very simple, monochromatic.
Yes.
Compared to when you're in this area, it's so much different. I mean, it's just very casual.
People have broken out the little short shorts and the little summer dresses and the stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah, which is great.
Because it just got hot a few days ago.
Yeah.
Just recently. So yeah, it's been very very different. We've been waiting for spring to come, and then today it got cool again. I mean, not yesterday. It was like 35 degrees.
Yeah.
For 2 days we had 35-degree weather, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm happy about this. And then today cooled off a bit, so I like that. Well,
we talked a lot.
we talked for an hour and 5 minutes.
Wow.
That's what I do. I'm sorry. I talk too much.
Oh, well, hey, I hope it's interesting for everybody.
No, it is. It is. You know, like you said, it's great to have people come on, because you share your perspective on France. You see things that I don't see anymore, like this whole business about the dress. I know this. You know, this is how my sister dresses every day. My sister is this chic person, and she got all the fashion sense in the family. My brother and I are like bumpkins. We don't care. But that's how she dresses. She has these like business pants and business tops, and and she comes to my house, and there's always dogs at my house, and I always have to keep them down because she will really get upset if the dogs get her clothes messed up. But she stops by frequently anyway. But it's like I just know that she has these expensive shoes and expensive bag, and that's how it is in Paris.
Well, really, if you were going to come to Paris for a week or something, you could come with a carry-on and a bunch of like jeans and black shirts and like a pair of black ballet sandals, and you would be fine.
Yes.
And a scarf.
Jeans are so expensive in France that people think that's dressy.
Yeah.
Because you can pay €100 for a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
And so if it's the right brand, which of course nobody knows unless they can see a belt, it's fine.
Yeah.
A pair of nice clean jeans with a nice shirt.
Well, I think people have this impression that they're going to go to Paris and everyone's going to be wearing like a Chanel suit and high heels, but it's not like that at all. It's just like a different. Yeah.
I mean, in the evening, if you go out in the evening and they're going out to this fancy dinner, but not the rest of the time. Jennifer, thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie. It's so fun to be on this podcast.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you how glad I was to talk to you. And you bought me a glass of rosé.
Yes,
Thank you.
We've been drinking this whole time.
Yes, first time. I tried to talk Elise into having a drink with me, but we usually record in the morning, and she's like, "No, I'm not having a wine in the morning." Neither am I. So very nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you.
All right. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
This is the French tip of the week. When I started college in the US many years ago, I was surprised to hear a lot of common French expressions being used in high register of speech, often in written form, but also sometimes in speaking, and sometimes I had no idea what the person just said. One such expression is faute de mieux, which means for want of a better alternative, which was recently used by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a Supreme Court opinion. In France, you will also hear faute de mieux in all sorts of circumstances and not just in the mouth of very smart lawyers. We also have the expression faute de grive, on mange des merles, which means if you can't eat thrush, which is a type of bird, then eat a robin, which is a less tasty type of bird, apparently. In other words, it means make do with what you have. So, faute de grive, on mange des merles is about the same as faute de mieux. You hear them both in France. Now, we don't eat thrush or a robin in France anymore, but the expression has remained. Faute de grive, on mange des merles, and faute de mieux. Many thanks to listeners who donate to the show or use our Amazon or hotel booking links on joinusinfrance.com or on the show notes that appear on the podcasting app on your phone. Most new listeners find the show through a recommendation from a friend. If you're the kind of fan who drops our name here and there, bless you and thank you for your help. I hope you have a great time in France, and when you come back, consider sharing your experience and thoughts with other listeners. Drop me a line, Annie@joinusinfrance.com, if you'd like to do a trip report with me. Thank you. Au revoir. This episode is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Non-Derivatives International License.